Welcome to La Verdad Duele. What is that? The truth. The truth that hurts. Even though we're not intending to hurt anybody's feelings, we know that we may share information that many people have strong opinions on. This is solely based on the fact that we love sharing information and we love passing down knowledge. And this podcast is all about that. And we hope you can enjoy that. Let's get to it. Welcome, Puyaka Puyaka. I'm your host, Tijani Musa, and today in the studio, man, we've got a young creative. Hunner Rezek is a creative who cares about her environment. For Hunner, it is important that people feel comfortable in the space that they live. So she started a YouTube channel called Hunner's Designs, where she posts videos of how she designs her home in hopes to inspire others. She hopes to build a reputation in the design industry and for her channel to serve as a go-to place for interior design for everybody. The amazing part, this is all self-taught. Her drive and purpose is to help and inspire others, while she also saves money. Hunner, welcome to La Verdad Duele.
Yay, thank you so much for having me. You make me sound so good.
Because you are good. You have 18 videos posted already. So I've seen some of them and you are amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So before we get started with the topic of the day, we're going to be talking about some of your designs, the things that you're doing, and also we are going to talk to you about how you and John manage at this age to pull off a home buying experience. You bought a home. So before we get to those two topics, talk to me about John. For people that don't know about John, you always give him a shout out on your YouTube videos, and sometimes he's on the background doing his thing, helping out. Mm-hmm. For people that don't know about John, who is John?
Man, John is my rock. He's my partner in life, and really the day that I met him changed my life because, everything, my YouTube channel, where I'm at in my career, the home buying experience, none of that would have been possible without him. So I'm very grateful. So John is, he's my sole partner in that we both work for nonprofits. He does political work and works in the immigration field. And his parents are immigrants from El Salvador. So he's always had a passion for immigration. And we actually met through the nonprofit that he works at, Centerville Immigration Forum. And I asked him out for a drink. I asked him out first, and the rest is history.
So you're telling me you asked John out for a drink?
I did. He took 3 weeks to respond. No, I'm just kidding. He had a conference to go to in California, so we didn't actually get together until 3 weeks after. And when we did, it was interesting because John's a little older. He is about 2 years older, and he was so mature. And I guess I just wasn't used to dating many mature guys at the time. And when I was talking to him, it was just all stuff on what we wanted to accomplish in the world, what our goals were. And we just both had our heads on straight from as much as you can in your early 20s. And I think the selling point for me was when John asked me why I cared about immigrants and why I wanted to help in the immigration realm. And for me, as a white woman, I think it was just really important that I could build this relation. This was our first date. He asked me that.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we didn't take time to do the small talk. It was very much so, what is your passion? What are you doing in life? And we went on dates every week after that.
Well, first of all, you and John are like superheroes, because for people that work at nonprofit organizations, they are doing amazing work. It has nothing to do with money. It's like teachers. They do it because they love helping other people. So you and John are superhero. And John is a very smart guy. He is very smart. First of all, he delayed answering. He wants to see how persistent you are going to be. And he's very smart for being around. And to this day, hoping that it leads to something amazing, which you're already doing at this age.
No. Well, that's very kind of you to say. And I'm sure when he listens back to this, he'll appreciate the recognition.
Of course, of course. I am so happy for the both of you, and you're doing amazing. You're definitely inspiring other people. And before the podcast recording, I was asking you about your job, and you work with amazing young people, and you are doing amazing work for the health of those young people, and also building their self-esteem, and just creating a better future for all of us. And so, thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. So now that we're done with that, let's get into some of the work that you do. How in the world did you get into designs?
Well, I didn't realize it until my friends helped me realize that I've actually always been into it. When I was younger, I would change around my room all the time, and it was just one of those things. I think that there's people who can decorate once and they're done. They'll never decorate for maybe a decade later when trends change. And there's other people who change around the rooms 50 times, and I was one of those people. And I would always offer to help decorate my friend's house. So this was at a very young age. But it really wasn't until I was thinking about when John and I bought a house. We obviously knew that we were going to have to decorate. And then when I wanted to start the YouTube channel, I said, what do I want it to be about? And my friends helped me realize that design really was my passion, and it kind of always has been. With the house, that's when I really got into educating myself on, there's no right way to decorate. There's no right way for design. It's definitely based on the person and their own choices. So I would definitely say that design from the get-go was my passion, but especially when we bought the house is when I started to learn more and experiment.
Wow. So the home buying experience and having good friends help you bring you back to what you were good at. Those are good friends that you have.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Funny that the one friend that I'm thinking of in particular, I redesigned her room growing up. She was gone for a week, and I came and I partnered with her mom, and I said, I really want to surprise her, decorate her room, and her mom and her family and her friends in her neighborhood chipped in, and we all redesigned her room so that when she came back, it's like a totally different space for her. And actually, tonight at 7 p.m., I'm releasing a video on my YouTube channel where I redesigned her bathroom. So it's nice to see it full circle years later, and I'm still helping her design.
What was her reaction? It's like I went away, and then I come back. My room is redecorated, even if it's nice. What was her reaction like?
Well, she appreciated it. It was a refresh space, and it was like, oh, I didn't think about doing that. Or, she was completely fine and happy with what she had before. And I think when people see that, oh, you can actually do a lot more with this space, or you can take what you like the colors or different fabrics or photos on the wall. And when you take those things that you like and change it up or add more of the things you like, you realize that your space actually has a lot more potential to make you happy. And I think that's something that going forward, I really do want to help people realize this, that your space and your environment really does impact how you feel and how you go about your daily life. And I know cleaning, for one, John and I are big cleaners. And when we feel like our space is not clean, we feel it, we feel stressed, we feel like we got to get to it. So long response for her reaction was, she was kind of amazed at what we could do with the space, and she didn't envision it. And I think that's one thing that's exciting about getting into interior design and decorating, is helping people see what can be. Especially because it's not something you think about every day. Just like financial advisors, people don't think about their finances all the time. So they go to a financial advisor so that way they can have someone think about those things for them and help them process. So that's kind of what I want to be. I want to be the interior design advisor.
Okay, I like it. How important? Because my wife Yasmin thinks that the color of the paint can either make a room smaller or bigger. I'm like, one
Totally.
color, yeah, how does a color have that kind of power? So talk to us
Yes.
about color schemes. How do you figure out which color to use at a specific project?
Well, I would definitely say it. So it's going to start with the style of the person. If you like more of a cozy vibe, choosing warm colors for a cozy vibe, maybe a cool monochromic spectrum. It just gives it more of a cool, less stressful vibe. Some like blues are a very cool, coastal, beachy, relaxing color. So that first and foremost is knowing who I'm working with, and also if there's multiple people in the home, that's different people and different likes to take into consideration with colors. So that's the first thing, is really just talking to see what are the vibes that we're feeling in our home and in our space. And then the second thing is, how big is the room? Because a lot of people, and I'm still trying to, the things that I'm learning, I'm still trying to get John on board, because he is also thinking, like you, Tijani, like, how does color on the wall really make or break a room or create this impact? And I would say, look at the space and how big is the room, because people think that dark colors, like painting a wall black, for example, is frightening to many, and with good reason. It's a very bold choice in color. However, because it's such a bold choice, that actually can have the opposite effect in making a room feel bigger. But of course, this depends. I would choose a bold color for a wall in a bigger space, and then I would choose lighter colors for a smaller space. And I think that's just kind of, with design, it's tricking the eye to making something seem that it may or may not be. So I agree with Yasmin. She's right. Colors that you choose for your space can definitely affect the room. And if you have a smaller place, maybe a one bedroom, like apartment or a studio apartment, I think, I'm not saying that you can't go with darker colors for a small space, because you can. I think it helps give that cozy vibe, actually. But if someone wanted to make a space feel bigger, I would go with lighter colors. So going to the paint color, I'd probably choose a lighter color to make a space feel bigger.
Wow, wow. I'll definitely I'll let Yasmin know that she was right.
She probably already knows she's right.
Right, right, exactly. Everything she says, I'm like, yep, you got it, ma'am. You're correct.
Yeah, well, I'm very grateful that John kind of lets me take chief design for the house. I definitely ask for his opinions and his thoughts on things, but as far as the basement goes, however, he is the chief designer for the man cave.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to meet with John and yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to meet with John. We're probably gonna have to like, hopefully, COVID-19 subsides
Yeah.
sooner enough that we can have a double date or something.
Yes, that would be great.
All right. So I was watching one of the videos. Like I said, you have a video on DIY, do it yourself coffee table that you were working on. It took you
Oh.
a couple of weeks, and then it didn't go as you planned, and then you upholster that table. Talk to us about your skill in using power tools.
Man, of course you would choose that video to talk about. I will say, out of my entire YouTube journey, that video and that entire process was it was very stressful. It was a, am I sure I really want to do this in life type of moment for me. Yeah, so Tijani, at the end of the day, I'm cheap. And I say that with the biggest heart. It's okay to be cheap and to always be on a budget. And I have a very expensive taste, because the things that I gravitate towards are always just out of my budget. So with John and I, we're first-time home buyers, as you mentioned, and so we are still on a budget. We work for nonprofits. We're really not making crazy money. So what do you do when you have an expensive taste? you just make it yourself.
That's
And,
right.
if that takes 3 weeks, then it takes 3 weeks and you learned a lot along the way. With the power tools, I was so scared. I've never used power tools, and I was using these big saws. I'm still learning what the name of them are. You saw the video. I used them. I couldn't even tell you what the names were. I think I used a table saw. I might have used, nope, don't know what the other one was, a jigsaw. So you don't even know. You have to know the names of the saws that you're
It's
using.
okay. It's okay. I don't think the names matter. What matters is the way you use those tools made it seamless. Like you have been doing that for so long, and I was just amazed the way you handled them.
Wow. Thank you. That means a lot. At the end of the day, it's just kind of a big pair of scissors. Instead of cutting paper, you're just cutting wood. So I guess that was a little empowering to know. But like I said in my video, I did test out on some sample wood before my project. And for anyone listening that hasn't seen the video, yeah, you're right. It didn't go as planned. The table was amazing. I seriously couldn't believe I got that far in the project. And it was at the last step, staining it and making it the color I wanted. And I thought I tested on the sample wood well enough, but it just still didn't. The table turned out orange.
I saw. But the second part, the second video, it came around. It came around. You definitely nailed it, and that's part of being creative. One mistake leads to something different. It leads to an amazing result.
Yeah. Well, I think probably the number one thing I'm most proud of is that there's no video on YouTube where someone makes a table of that size. And so I'm really proud of that because I really just pioneered that idea with making my own circular coffee table. And you're right, I didn't like the color, so I upholstered it instead. So I ordered some vegan leather fabric online, and I just stapled that fabric right on there. Now we're using it. We're happy with it.
What was the total budget on that table?
Yikes. Well, because I did buy some power tools, I would say I was somewhere below 300 all in all.
And that's cheaper than $1,000, though.
It is cheaper than $1,000. And of course, now I have the tools. So if I were to make another table, it would probably cost less.
That's correct. So definitely, it's cheaper in a grand scheme of things because the tools you can use them for multiple projects.
Yes, which I definitely plan on doing.
All right. So talk to us. You already alluded to it. You mentioned that you are cheap, which when I talk to Yasmin about money, that's not, we don't consider that cheap. We call that being affordable and smart. So talk to us about. My research tells me that you are very good at thrifting. Whatever. Talk to us about thrifting.
Yeah, well, I think it's just good for the environment in general to buy reused things, and you find them more affordable in thrift stores. Or like on the YouTube, you'll see a lot of people say from trash to treasure, because really you have no idea what you'll find until you go in and look. And I'm still trying to get John on the thrifting journey with me. And I think sometimes it can freak people out, like, oh, where did this come from? And I think as long as you find it in good shape and you clean it up, it's perfectly fine to bring home and to reuse. And it's better than buying something new that who knows what was the process in this fast industry. So I'm a huge advocate for thrifting, and mainly because it's affordable and it's good for the environment to reuse.
I like it. I like it. All right. So thrifting is cool, and I do it. I think I can talk to John about that too, so he can get on the program. And so
Or
you
even
talk.
suits, because he does a lot of political work and he needs suits for Richmond. And I'm like, look, let's go to the thrift store. I'm telling you.
Yeah. When I that I used to work for a nonprofit too, so I usually I dress up to come to the community center because I want to be a role model for the kids with my appearance as well. So I go to Goodwill. Goodwill is where I get my stuff.
Yes. Love Goodwill.
Yep. All right. So now that we have that out of the way, talk to us about how do you come up with your ideas? Like, do you just look around your house and be like, something is missing there? Let me find out what is missing. I'm gonna go online, look at the price. If I can't afford it, I create it. How do you come up with your ideas?
Well, that's a really great question. I would say that it's kind of, with the design at least, it's just a repertoire in my head. So the more that you learn about something, the more that you recognize it. And that's just a good lesson for anything in your life. The more you expose yourself, the more you recognize it. So when it comes to interior design, I grew up watching HGTV with my mom and home remodels, and then I started on YouTube watching other videos, seeing what they were doing with their space. I love Pinterest. I love all the inspiration that comes from Pinterest. And so when I just start to see things and maybe put my own spin on it, that's where my ideas come from. And as far as what's missing, I think that just goes down to some of the design principles that I've learned. So for example, we have the sofas, but we don't have a coffee table. And then also a good rule of thumb for design is that rugs really help ground a space and ground a room. So if we had our sofas, then we needed a rug to ground the space. So then I knew we needed that. And a coffee table is just nice and functional to use in the living room.
Okay, that's very good. That's very good. So pretty much, if they want to work with you for designs, interior design, you are open to like business inquiries, right?
Yeah, I love helping people, and especially I really love working with people who are just not sure of what their design style is, and they're not sure where to start. And I love being on a budget. I want to save as much money as possible. Let's do this. I love seeing what design we can come up with on a very tight budget. But of course, the more that's in the budget, you can also do some creative things as well.
Yeah, all right. So that is about designs and interior designing and being a creative. Let's switch over to life. When you met John from the get go, he sounded like a goal oriented, and you as well as goal oriented. In your first couple of dates, you were already discussing about what the future should be like and what you wanted to do for your future, and then that leads to the conversation of buying your own home.
Mhm.
How in the world did you pull that off at that age? If you don't mind sharing your age when you bought that house, that would be fine too. But if you're not okay with that, that's fine.
Yeah, so when we bought the house, I was 22 and John was 24. And that, even saying it out loud, is pretty insane. And what led up to that was, it was when I graduated college and I started full-time job, and I was trying to learn how to budget, and I just really didn't know what to do now that I was receiving these paychecks. And what was I supposed to do with the money? I've never taken a class on financial literacy, had no idea. And it wasn't until a coworker of mine recommended Dave Ramsey. And so I know you and Yasmin are also pretty big on Dave Ramsey. And he has some pretty great principles and the baby steps for knocking down your debt and building an emergency fund. And so when I heard about it, I dove deep and I went all in. I listened to his podcast. I read his book. I listened to his Financial Peace University, and everything just made sense. Usually it takes me a while to believe or to buy into something, but when it just makes sense, it makes sense. And so I told John, I said, hey, read this book with me, or, listen to this podcast with me. And it took him a little bit, because he also likes to do his due diligence and things. And eventually I got him on board. And so he was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do our budget. And so, groceries, maybe 45, for each of us for 2 weeks. I mean, we were cutting it, going out to eat, very slim, and it was a lot about our behavior. And John and I are homebodies naturally, so that really helped because we weren't going out spending money on alcohol or any clubs or anything like that. We were very into, let's watch a movie at home, go on a walk, visit a park. So I think that helped too naturally. That was our lifestyle of saving money and not doing too much. So when John and I got serious, we knocked down a lot of our debt. I was able to pay off my portion of my student loans, and I was very grateful to have parents who helped me with paying with college. So they still have loans as well. And my goal is to, when I get this interior design business up and running, to give back and help, because my parents were very very nice in helping me. And with John, he's also, he was like, all right, let's get rid of those credit cards, because in college, he was using those credit cards to pay for books, pay for his food and stuff like that. Again, no one was really telling us how to be on a budget or how to watch credit card debt, or to maybe not even to have a credit card. And so we got serious about it. And when we did, we said, all right, actually, I didn't have the renter versus home buyer mindset. It was actually John. So this is where we're a partnership, because I came in with the budget, let's get serious about our money. And John came in with, well, let's think about investing. Let's think about a house versus renting. And I think a lot of that comes from his parents. His parents are very hardworking, and they were able to buy a house way back in the day. And they worked very hard to get that house. And so I think that growing up, seeing, two immigrant parents working very hard to get what they had here, that he also wanted to look into, a smart decision of buying a home. But I will say that it's not for everyone right away. So even if you know that you want to have a house, and you know that having a house is good because it's an investment and you build equity, it doesn't mean that it's the right time to buy a house. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that you should never rush into buying a house just because it'll be a great decision. I think it's just a matter of knowing, based on your finances or where you want to live, where you can buy a house, the economy, all of that goes into the decision of buying a home. And of course, with John and I, it's dual income. So it's not like, I was able to pull this off by myself or he was able to pull it off himself. We really went in on it together.
Wow, definitely. Yasmin and I are into Dave Ramsey. Yasmin is more so than I am, but I was the first one who took the class, and I came to Yasmin and told her about Dave Ramsey. She's like, "Who is that?" And she just didn't buy into it until she heard it from you, and and Cindy, and then she came back the next day and be like, "Dave Ramsey." I said, "Yeah, Dave Ramsey. I told you about Dave Ramsey 2 years ago. Remember that?"
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I was actually the one who told Cindy about Dave Ramsey too. And then we just started telling all of our sorority sisters about it.
There you go. That's why you learn something, you pass it on. That's how it works. And so, how in the world does 22 years old, 24 years old, working at nonprofits are able to pull off buying a home?
Yeah.
What do you say to people that ask you, how can that be possible?
I'm going to be honest, this question makes me a little emotional because it's hard. Because really, in order for John and I to afford a house, we had to move a little far away. So we commute an hour and a half to our jobs. And for many, an hour and a half to go to work just one way, that's a 3-hour day total in the car. And that's a lot, and it takes a lot out of you. And so when John and I were looking at houses, we knew that we had to move to farther away in a more rural area. So that's not an easy decision, because to get, to live close to your workplace and have a house, that is a very permanent decision. And so that's a big decision in itself to make. But also, when we were looking at the different loans, the first thing we did, and I'd recommend this to anyone that's thinking about buying a house, there are free classes for first-time home buyers. So we went to a nonprofit in Northern Virginia that offered a free 8-hour Saturday go to the class, and they give you a whole book and they walk you through the book. They talk to you about budgeting and working with the real estate agent, etc. And for anyone who's looking to buy a house, I think it's really recommended to go one of those courses. You can look them up. They're all over, and a lot of them are offered for free. So from that class, we learned about loans. And one of the loans that we were most interested in was the USDA loan. And this one's important because this enabled us to get the house. The USDA loan is, the incentive is that when you move to a more rural area, because they're trying to get people out of these metropolitan areas and into more rural areas, that you have a $0 down payment. this was huge because John and I just went in on, knocking down credit card debt, our student loans, etc. So we really didn't have that much in savings. And this isn't something that Dave Ramsey recommends. He does recommend having a good amount of savings, start your 401k, etc. So I wouldn't say we followed step by step by Dave Ramsey. I do want to say that first. But with the USDA loan, it was nice because we didn't have to have a certain amount to put down on the house. But because we did buy a new home that we had to wait to be built, which I'll talk about that, we had to put $2,000 down to sort of like a due diligence that we were serious about the house before they started building. And this decision to build a house versus buying a used home was also because with a used home, you really have no idea what kind of problems lie behind the walls. And we've watched a ton of HGTV to know that you may buy a used home and it looks great, but as soon as you get in there could be some serious financial problems with the house. And we weren't ready for a used home with problems that we wouldn't be able to afford, or that could potentially put us into further debt. So we went with a new house. It was still within our budget, and we have warranty on a lot of the stuff in the house. So we're taking this time to build up our savings for those problems whenever they do arise. But with it being a newer home, we have a few years to work on that savings. So those are the two things that totally catapulted this decision. We could buy a house, 0 down payment, but we had to move far away. And then we wanted a new house so that way we didn't have to worry about expensive problems. So it was a very unique situation that not a lot of young home buyers are going to be presented with, frankly.
Yep, those are sacrifices you've made, because moving away means that you got to leave some of your friends away and family away as well, and then also living far away from work. But you have a nice place to go to after those 3 hours on the road.
Yes, it is for John. He has grown up with a commute for a very long time. I'm from Virginia Beach, so everything was within 10 minutes from me. So for me, it has been more of a struggle than for him. He's very, no problem. Driving on the road, he drives us all the time because he just likes driving. But if you are not like John, which is a lot of people, they don't like commuting. They don't like sitting in the car. And so you're right, it is a huge sacrifice. And I'm very grateful for our house and to be working on this investment, building equity with John. And, if it wasn't for the house, I probably wouldn't have started YouTube. So everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. I will say that. But it is a huge sacrifice, and it is a lot of time away from home. And I think I'm also going to come out with the video on this on my YouTube channel is, smaller, shorter commute and smaller house, or longer commute and bigger house. And I think that's a question people ask all the time. And I know I ask that question. I will say we've been in the house for a year now, and at some point you just adapt and you get used to it. With COVID, I'm not driving anymore, but before I would, start the car, get my tunes on, audiobooks, podcasts. And that was the biggest benefit of having such a long commute, is that I was educating myself every single day in the car on different things. Whether it was improving my work performance, how to eat better. I even had an audiobook on how to get motivation to clean your house. I mean, you name it, you can spend that time in the car improving any skill you want to improve on. So I think that's the benefit. Big cup of coffee. You may have even seen on my Instagram, I was kind of being funny where I had some 2-pound weights in the car. So I would do some hand exercises during traffic. I'm a little bit of a goof, but you make it work, but it is for sure a sacrifice, and it's time away from your family. I mean, John and I don't have kids, but I couldn't imagine, how would we make it? I mean, we would make it work. Parents, they're superheroes as well. Parents make things work. And so, right now, John and I are focusing on the house, focusing on our nonprofits. And I think that's something for people to consider is, do you want to have a family? And what if there's an emergency and you're super far away from your house? And it's also just less time with John, too. COVID, among all the things that it's brought, I mean, it's been terrible. One of the things that it has led to is John and I have more quality time together in the house. And we both didn't realize the stress of the commute until we started spending more time together, and it's been nice. A lot of couples can't live together every day and see each other 24 hours and not fight, but John and I do so well together.
Yeah, I hear a lot of those stories.
Yeah.
So, wow. Hey, I like the fact that you maximize your time in the car, working out and using your strengthening your muscles and whatnot. I love it because putting your hand on that steering wheel for 3 hours a day is hectic. But talk to us about how much research did you do before you commit to buying a home, and how many months of research did you do?
Oh, well, that's a great question. I would say from August to November is the time period that we took the time to research, and it was at the end of November where we went into the model home and decided this is going to be our house. So from August to November, I would definitely say it was the more serious research. Prior to that, there may have just been some conversations, but it wasn't until August that we really hunkered down and started looking into our options. And as far as research goes, like I said, that class was so helpful. It told us what we needed to look into, and I think the internet can be a deep place. So there's tons of things you'll find on the internet. So having that class really helped us know what to look out for.
Okay, wow. From you said from August to November, that's when you picked up the research. So talk how many months or how many years did it take for the entire house to get built?
That's a great question, and I always struggle to remember how long it took our house to be built. I think it started, I know it took about 3.5 to 4 months to be built, and then the house was done in June. So 4 months before June puts us so February to June was when they started building. So from November to February, we had to wait for them to start building the house.
Wow, that was fast. And were you not scared that they built that house so fast? What was your reaction when they hand you over the keys and you opened that door and then you went in that house for the first time?
Whew. I mean, it just felt like a building. It didn't feel like a home. We actually had a hard time sleeping the first night in our house because it just didn't feel like ours, and it was still so surreal. Our parents kept telling us, "We're so proud of you." His parents, my parents, they were like, "We're so proud of you." And even though we knew that we just pulled off some incredible thing buying a house at our age, it still just didn't sink in. And a year later, John and I we sit outside and we're like, wow, this is ours. Like, we bought this place. And so we still have moments where we can't believe that we bought a house. But that first time, it was weird. Renting, everything's taken care of for you. So if you have a problem, you can call the manager. They'll come fix it for you. The first night in our house, we couldn't even work our washing machine. We just thought we were doomed to be homeowners.
Wow. First of all, congratulations to you and John for pulling it off at 22, 24 years old. Amazing effort, and nothing but the best.
Oh, thank you. We'll definitely have to have you over once all this quarantine is over.
It will be an honor.
If you're willing to make the drive.
I don't mind it. We'll definitely make the drive. And if you don't mind, I'll bring my partner in crime that has been with me.
Of course.
I'm inviting people to an invite.
Oh, you know it. You guys are a partner. You're a partnership.
That's right. Wow. All right. So let's go back to, and thank you for sharing that story. That is just amazing. From what I'm hearing from you, you sound like any young person or anybody that's looking to do investment, and as well as also setting up their home. They can reach out to you, and you have wisdom. At this age, you have a lot of wisdom and you have a lot of information to share that is beneficial to everybody. And they can pretty much reach out to you to learn about how you made it this far in terms of investing on equity, on buying a home with John. And then also, obviously, they can reach out to you for interior design. So you have it all figured out From
Oh,
from
I
the
don't know
outside
about
looking in,
everything.
from the outside looking in, you have it all figured out, and you are a role model. Trust me.
Oh, well, thank you. That means the absolute world to me. And I think ever since middle school, I set out for my life. I just want to help people. I had no idea what that meant. And when I got to college, I studied conflict resolution. Why? Just because I wanted to help people. And it sounded like that was the major that would enable me to help people. I've been in nonprofits for my entire professional career. So now having this repertoire of wisdom, as you said, to help people even more with things that I'm really passionate about, with interior design and home ownership. I feel so grateful to be able to help in this unique way.
Wow, amazing. All right. In that subject of helping other people, what does it mean to you when that little girl rides her bike by your home, watching you using those power tools, watching you doing your interior design? What does it mean to you, that little girl looking at you doing all these things?
Oh, just gave me chills just thinking about it. For me, it's just, how do I say this so eloquently? We need to create spaces for young girls to know that they can be, period. Not be anything, just can be. Whatever it is that they set their mind to, they can do it. It's not just girls, it's also women. And with using power tools and whatnot, I thought maybe it would be something John would be really into, and he would do all the power tools at the house, and he still likes to do those things. But I never thought I would be picking up a saw or, building a table. And so for that young girl that drove by the house and to see me working on that kind of project, because I know I've never seen it. When I was growing up, it just wasn't. Well, actually, my mom, we did call her Bob the Builder because she tended to work a lot around the house. So I guess I did have that inspiration earlier on. So for me, it just means so much to create the inspiration and the space for young girls and women to know that they can be and they can do.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so we already learned about what inspires you to get into interior design. You started when you were younger. What inspired you to get to a place where you and John were able to purchase your first home? And so we know about what inspires you. What are the things that keeps you going?
This is a great question that I was actually going to postpone this interview with you because I was still trying to figure it out, and I actually had a bit of a hard week last week where I mean, just it seemed like everything I had been working on with my YouTube channel and trying to figure out how to scale my business, it just felt like everything was so hard and consuming, and I was really trying to figure out where I was heading and what I'm doing. And I will say what I have figured out and what drives me, and I think I said it a little bit, is that I know that I want to help people. And for me, it has taken me a really long time to figure out what my purpose is. And once I put two and two together with the help of my friends, my family, and just listening and taking time to speak with myself and be in my thoughts, I know that full time, I want to help people with interior design and just in general, knowing that they can at a young age. If you're a woman, if you're an immigrant, that you can, and that obstacles or adversity, it doesn't have to be your stopping point. And I'm glad that I'm experiencing obstacles. I'm glad that I'm experiencing hard time because I think it just helps. It helps me, any challenges that I face, that I can help others. So what drives me is knowing that I want to do this full time. And so even though I have a 40-hour job, I spend very late nights working on what I'm trying to create with this business. And full time, I want to be home. I want to be with John. And, eventually if we decide to have a family, I'd want to have time to spend with them. And I also don't ever want us to be in debt again. So that's just the biggest thing and driver behind me wanting to have my own business is that if I can help people and do it full time and make money to prevent us from being in a financially, unsound situation, then that's the goal.
I like it. I like it. And you are definitely on the track to do amazing things. And you have to realize you are still very young, and we have people that are 35, 40 years old trying to figure out life. And you trust me, where you and John are already, there are people that are older than you that are trying to get to that level. So you should be extremely proud of yourself. You should be proud of John, the accomplishments that you've already been able to achieve thus far. And the sky is the limit. And in terms of moving on with your interior designs, it's coming along. It's coming along. You're having subscribers, and soon enough, you're gonna be having business inquiries. I know it, and you're doing amazing. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Oh, well, thank you, Tijani, and thank you so much for starting this platform and being able to for creating spaces for more people to share their story and to help inspire. Because I'm sure I've been inspired along the way. So it's an honor to me that you have this podcast to serve as a platform to inspire others.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. So the last thing that we're gonna ask you is, we've asked you to write a letter to yourself, to a younger self. So if you can bring up that letter, I'm gonna ask you a question, and then after that, I can ask you I can ask your permission to read that letter to us. Reading a letter to a younger self. What would you say to that younger Hunter? But before we get to that, is there anything else that you would like to say, both about your design, your Hunter's design, or about a home buying experience? Is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, I would just say that going back to what you're saying, that there's people older and they're still trying to figure out where they're going or what they're doing. I would say the first thing is to have grace with yourself. I think comparing is a really downward spiral that anyone can enter. And so have grace with yourself to know that any age that you are, or any point in your life that you are, is you're there for a reason. And you're not behind. You're right where you need to be. And if you do want to be anywhere else in your life, if you want to strive for anything else in your life, you want to change it up, then you have grace first, and then you go for it. You spend those nights, those early mornings, and you just go for it. So I would definitely would like to leave that with anyone listening.
You're so wise at your age. That is oh my God, that is an amazing, amazing advice. It's not a race. Everybody is on their own pace. So
Yeah.
how I have now you opened up another question that I have to ask you. How are you so wise at that age?
I think I just listen.
Wow.
I just listen to people around me. I keep an open mind, and I'm always looking for more information, meeting different people, and just finding meaningful relationships with people, and just leading a meaningful life. And I mean it when I said that I'm a homebody in the sense that I don't want to fill my days, my weeks, and my weekends with anything that's really not going to launch me to where I'm going. And I think that I'm just really diligent with my mind and what I absorb. And I think that's just maybe what puts me at where I am. But I really appreciate you saying that.
All right, we're gonna leave it at that, because then I will have to ask you many, many other questions.
Okay.
So, so yeah, like I mentioned, we asked you to write a letter to a younger self. So if you could read that letter to us, so everybody can listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was a little goofball even back then too. So, so dear little Hunner Rezek, keep going, and more importantly, always stay true to yourself. Growing up, you will not be accepted by everyone, and that is okay, because life is hard and everyone has their own things going on. You're going to be different. Stay true to yourself, a lover. Keep exuding warmth and love to those around you. even if you think they may not deserve it. Being bullied as you grow is hard, but so is standing back up and knowing there is more to you. As you grow up, more people will notice your uniqueness, not because you force it, but because you kept going and striving for more. You spend a lot of time comparing yourself to others. This is normal, but it's important to focus on the road you are on and where you are heading. One day you will hear that life is like a GPS. Once you know the destination, you will focus on that path to get there. Without one, you are wandering. You will have moments where wandering feels good and feels present. However, you will find that you are always looking for your passion and drive. You will continue your search wondering what it is specifically, this passion. Just know that you will find it, and when you do, you will feel the destination entered into your life GPS, and like laser focus, you will work the hardest you have ever have before to get there. Until then, be silly, be different, valiant, and kind. Continue rooting for the underdog and helping others around you. Choose your inner circle wisely and find people that bring out the best in you. Choose people that are always kind and hardworking. Those are your people. Pour into them as much as they pour into you. With so much love and a firm hug, your older self.
Wow. Wow. I'm telling you, man. Hey, I hear true to yourself, want to be accepted by everyone, exude love, bullied, notice uniqueness, striving for more, life's like a GPS, wandering, passion, laser focus, be silly, be different, valiant, and kind. Amazing, amazing, amazing letter. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Wow, wow. All right. So for anybody that wants to reach out to Hunner, you can reach her out through her Hunner's Designs on YouTube as well as on Instagram. Is there any other platforms that people can reach out to you?
My email, hunnersdesigns@gmail.com, and that's Hunners with 2 N's.
Very simple as that. And that email will be in the description for business inquiries. You can reach out to her for questions about life. You can also reach out to her, and she's amazing. Thank you, Hunner, for gracing us with your presence.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been such a pleasure, and you've made my day.
There you have it, everybody. If you're listening to this still, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening through and through. Make sure if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button so you can get this automatically downloaded the next time new episodes come out. We have a lot more experiences and stories to tell, and I cannot wait to share them with you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Reviews are always appreciated. Thank you. I appreciate you, and let me know what you think on our Instagram at Verdad Duele Pod. Our team is here to serve you. We look forward to hearing about your successes, and maybe one day we may invite you to the studio to share. We wish you luck. The Verdad Duele family has your back. Thank you so much.